motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5, consent agenda. I'd accept a motion, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have, any audience delegations?
Forgot to do
No.
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Item 7A. No, we don't know. Second Booster Club contract. I discuss a motion.
I'll move to approve the second 2023-24 Booster Club contract as presented.
I have a motion and a second. Yes. Any discussion?
Just from our end, we did receive all of the necessary paperwork and inspection pieces, and the service has been done on that bus.
Great.
And we are very pleased to have that back into service, as it will greatly support our fall sports. And we know that having the first one ready and going, and now having the second one will really get us back to where we expect to be, and seeing those big blues carrying our great students around this part of the state.
Thank you. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to new business. Item 8A, superintendent update.
All right, we've got a few great things for you.
Great.
I'm gonna start with the not so great, and I apologize for that, but I do want to give very preliminary enrollment count, because I know second day doesn't always paint the whole picture, but we try to see seats in students in seats. I don't want to say rears in seats, but students in seats. And looking at that compared to where we were at the very end of last year and our numbers to just what we saw in seats now, we're down about 75 students. So we ended the year at 2136, and right now we're at 2,060. We have a little bit more work that we're needing to do. We've got more students on our rolls, our principals, and their secretaries are working hard to make sure that they do all the calls and things to make sure we have all the residency requests and everything necessary. So we feel like we could be right where we need to be, but again, we're down just a little bit, and we'll stay after everything and make sure that we're getting our enrollment where we would like it to be. The next thing I want to share is we have Jill, who is going to come up, and she's got some what's great. And another thing that we were going to start last month, but July we didn't have anybody here necessarily in our audience. So we are going to start during our superintendent's update to showcase, as we do on our presentation, but now live and in person, some of our great students and staff members of our district.
So much more fun than just me. So our three what's great today shout outs are our community partnerships that we have. As we've already been talking about, we have a fantastic community, and two recent events highlighted that, which would have been our bus tour that we did for the first time ever. We did a community bus tour where we toured various locations like the library, the historical society, the chamber, the community center, and the health department. We took staff that wanted to go see those locations and learn more about the services and resources offered there. We took Big Blue, thank you. And we went to those locations, and then we also had, it was also a food tour as well, because local restaurants provided snacks at all the stops.
Nice.
It was really yummy. So we think we'll continue that next year, but I think the staff who went on it really enjoyed it and learned some things about our community, things they can use in their classroom. The second one was our vendor fair that we had on the all-staff first day back. We had 21 vendors take part in that vendor fair, and they had a chance to visit with all our staff members. They also provided raffle items that we raffled off for the teachers, and I think everyone, the feedback I've received back from the vendor fair so far from those vendors has been very positive.
Do you have the raffle winners? Do you remember who they are?
No,
Oh,
they're on a piece of paper
I was
downstairs.
just curious.
We had about, I'm gonna say 15 different items that were raffled off. And there were some, yeah.
The teachers were staff were very excited about that.
Right, they were. They received some great giveaways, so that was wonderful. And then the second thing I'd like to highlight is our new teachers, because they're fabulous. We got to spend 2 days with them first before all staff came back, and had 2 great days. There are 35, but I want to put a little asterisk beside that, because 11 of those 35 are alumni. Okay. 11 are returning to our district in some capacity from being retired or coming back from other districts or moving positions within our district or long-term subs that are now teachers or student teachers that are now teachers. So we're trying to retain and keep those people that are in our district. So I think there's a little caveat to that 35 because we have so many that are familiar with our district and have been part of the Wildcat family before. So, and we had a lot of support on that day from our community as well in terms of breakfasts and lunches. We had Hunter's Pride, Kiwanis, MSTA, Hawthorne Bank, and Commerce Bank that provided meals for our new teachers. So we appreciate that as well. And now, the best part is our student and staff recognition. So first I'll bring up Mrs. Freeze. Mrs. Freeze is our educator of the year. She is our, Laura. She's our gifted teacher here in the district. She's standing behind me. So I'm trying. She's our educator of the year this year. And then over the summer, we got the fantastic news that she was a Kansas City Regional finalist for Teacher of the Year. So we're super proud of her and wanted to recognize her. And her husband, Carl, came with her this evening, so we appreciate that. Do you have any words you would like to say?
Oh my gosh.
Speech?
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you, board, for letting me come and inviting me and supporting me, and not just me as an educator, my students. Listening to a little bit of the levy discussion, I'm really fortunate that my gifted program has what we need. You were very supportive, and when I called and said, can I take my kids on this field trip? Can I buy this thing that I need for a project? Can we start this new initiative? I don't ever think I've gotten a no. And so I appreciate that a lot. I also want to thank the foundation for all of their wonderful support of the Teacher of the Year program. I'm a long-time fan of the foundation, and they've made it a really cool experience. They gifted me more money than the state did for the original thing, so thank you. I also, gosh, so many of you have gifted your children or your grandchildren or your siblings or your family members over the years, and I'm really lucky to give them this so emotional. And I'd like to say to everyone here that public school is the best idea this country has ever had.
Right.
And whatever we need to do to get more kids in here, I don't know what the answer is, but they don't know how great it is. They'll maybe know that they're missed. So if you have a neighbor or a family member or a kid in your street who has selected to go homeschool or virtual school or is thinking of going elsewhere because of the perception of what is going on or what they think public school looks like, they are not correct. And whatever we need to do to have conversation, it's hard conversation. Why are you homeschooling your child? Why did you let your kids stay virtual for 3 years? What is it about Belton that makes you want to go there so much? And those are conversations that we kind of need to have. So it's important that all of our students feel welcome and appreciate all that our amazing community does. Like Jill just highlighted, our great community. So I feel like this is embarrassingly the season of Laura Freeze recognition, but now it's done. It's done with that.
I can't tell why she's our teacher of the year. They told her this in a text, but they announced the Missouri finalists, and they got it wrong. Sorry, committee. I should have gone to staff. Not a great teacher, but we'll keep her here and keep our own little treasure. So, and then I have a couple students. So, Riley and Preston, do you want to come up? Riley and Preston are in our FFA, and they were selected for the Hype Academy this summer, which is for the top 30 ag students in the state. So I'm gonna let them tell you a little bit about it.
Hello, my name is Preston Baker,
I'm Riley.
and recently we attended the Hype Academy, helping youth prepare for excellence. And overall, this was a wonderful experience. We got to make a lot of new friends, make a lot of new connections, and we got a really good experience of what Missouri government is like and the opportunities that lie within it.
Yeah, so it was held at Capitol Plaza in Jeff City. It was June 27th to the 29th. Like you said earlier, it was top 30 juniors in Missouri. Just talking about ag, it was really great. We had the state officers in Missouri in FFA come and help us out with everything that we needed. Tons and tons of people dedicated tons of time. Missouri Corn came out to really help us prepare to kind of accomplish the main goal that we were there. It was to get a really controversial topic that's going on in the ag world right now and present it to state legislators and kind of give our testimony. So they all came in and they gave us really great talks about how to advocate for ag and just have good communication skills, whether it's in person or social media, and just understanding that not everyone comes from an ag background, so it's really important to be like knowledgeable on this subject so we know how to help them and whenever we contact them. This really gave us a really great head start on how to get our foot in the door when giving our testimonies to the legislators, because we were ready to have that rebuttal and just prepared to kind of explain it in a better way to them. We were each given different topics. My personal topic was the Farm Bill and crop insurance, so it was kind of deciding whether we want to give more funds to farmers who need a bit of a safety net if the harvest is bad, like giving more funds to them so they don't have to really stress a whole bunch, or giving more funds to people who aren't super secure financially, who need to. It was really hard to kind of get, behind either one of them, so we had tons of great leaders come in and help us with that. One of them especially was Dr. Jim Spain, came in and was really grilling us on our topics to make sure we knew it in and out so we'd be ready for the legislators. Really helped us with our communication skills and just understanding how the world works in agriculture. Super great experience.
Before I go on to some of the other points here, I wanted to talk about what I did, or what my testimony is about. My testimony, I got to talk about foreign countries owning farmland here in Missouri, which is a really interesting concept and brings up a lot of moral dilemmas on whether or not we should allow them in here, whether they take away business, whether they attract business, whether they're good for the farming industry, whether they're not good for the farming industry. Because recently a bill was proposed cut from 1% to 2.5% of land. But besides that, one of the first trips we got to go on the Hype Academy was we got to visit Missouri Soybean, and they were an excellent organization with so much fun activities you could do in there, and the whole building was very unique, and they taught, and the majority of the stuff in there was made from soybeans, whether it was paint on the wall, the grass growing outside, every aspect of that building was derived essentially from soybeans. We also did a lot of other fun activities, such as we had Team Ag Olympics, where we got to compete in different games revolved around the agriculture industry. And not to brag, my team won. And every single night ended on a reflection with the state officers and our team leaders got to go up in front of us all and give her their thoughts, their opinions, and what makes them happy about agriculture and why Hype is such an influential moment to them. As Riley mentioned, we had Jim Spain come in, and he was very well articulated and allowed us to view the other side of our points. Well, because we were all very focused on one issue, he showed us the other side of it, allowed us to make sure we could have a rebuttal, make sure we had open arguments. And it was just overall a fascinating figure. We also had FFA trivia, where we got to do fun facts about agriculture and the agriculture industry. We had a little dance. We even had a federal representative, Congressman Mark Alford, hop on a Zoom call with us and talk to us about not just Missouri government, but to go even further and to talk about the federal level, the American justice. It was all so fascinating. His viewpoints on everything, the way he spoke, it brought a lot of insight, and he especially he was an expert on Riley's topic, but he was also talked a lot to us, foreign ownership of land, about his thoughts on it, the way the U.S. views the situation. It was all just so fascinating. Another fascinating aspect was Chris Chin, the Director of Agriculture of Missouri. And she just had a riveting passion for agriculture, and what drove her to agriculture and what drove her to be the department head was just so amazing. Her tale was beyond belief. And then afterwards, of course, she gave us a tour of the Capitol, beautiful as we would expect Missouri to be. Overall, the Hype Academy was such a fascinating experience, and I would encourage any ag student to go into it, and I would encourage us to continue supporting kids, to encourage them to go to the Hype Academy, to help prepare students for excellence.
I agree with that very much. There was a lot of growth from this. Kind of went into it really scared, and I came out of it feeling really knowledgeable about all this stuff. And it was just really great to make new connections in the ag world. Being one of the top 30 juniors, just having those people that I'm going to grow up with, and I'm going to keep running into them for the rest of my life. So it was just really great to get that sense of professional growth, and yeah, it was a great time.
Do board members have any questions for these two very well-spoken young
Very
people?
Very good job.
This is my family, that's my mom, that's my cousin, and that's my dad.
Awesome.
Good job, Mom, Dad.
Yeah.
Alright, and I also want to introduce their sponsors, their advisors, Abby Snyder and Jason Decock. And Jason, yep. And Jason, if you want to give another shout out while we're here.
Sure, if you don't mind, real quick, because this is pretty cool to have students, and we're really proud of Riley and Preston for what they got to achieve and got to do this summer. But we've also, in the last few weeks, we found out some also exciting news that has to do with some of our students here in Harrisonville. First off, we found out about a month ago that one of our former graduates, who's still a member of FFA, students are FFA members for 4 years after they graduate high school. It's actually Carl and Carl and Laura's son, George Fries, who's a junior down at the University of Missouri. He got selected as an American Star finalist in agri-science. There's only 4 in the nation.
Oh, wow.
So the National FFA will be sending TV crews out to Columbia, and they'll be coming here to Harrisonville to tape it. And then there'll be a show that are broadcast during the National FFA Convention, which is on RSD TV or the Cowboy Channel, whatever it's called now. So that's really, really cool. There's only 16 star finalists named in the United States, 4 in agri-science, 4 in production agriculture, 4 in ag placement, and 4 in agribusiness. So to have one of those finalists this year, first time in our chapter's history, and we probably only had 12 of them or so in Missouri's history. So we're really, really proud of George and his experience. And then we just found out just about 2 days ago at the Missouri FFA Missouri State Fair that we have a student that just qualified for the national competition in dairy handling. Case Melzer is a senior at Harrisonville High School and very active in FFA, the chapter FFA vice president and the area president. So he'll compete against about 33 or 34 other competitors at the national convention. But we've only had maybe about a dozen students from our chapter in its 75-year history ever earn that level to compete at the national convention. So we're excited, real excited to both have George and Case be competing this year at the National FFA Convention. So thank you.
Jason, I'll say real quick, this is definitely a testimony to what you provide to Harrisonville, and I think you and that,
Not just me. We've got a great team at the Career Center and great teaching partner here.
I'm gonna focus on you, though. It's pretty darn cool.
Thank you.
It's pretty darn cool.
We do.
And those freezes, man, those are cool kids too.
Great genetics.
Yeah, they're talking to me about why the rabbit was laying on the cold granite at the HES. I'm like, George, I have no idea.
I tell you, we are very lucky, and we appreciate you guys very much. And just a shout out to Mr. Deacock, whose birthday is on Friday. Say happy birthday, but we are truly blessed, and so every board meeting we will have an opportunity to share and showcase excellence, because that's excellence. Those kids are absolutely amazing, and our teachers that we have are the ones that make that all happen. So wow, we are so amazed by all the work that our students and teachers and administrators do. Next we have up Kevin Wood, who is going to briefly share with us from the Cass Community Health Foundation and the support that they provide to our district. They did provide a PowerPoint to us.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make it brief anyway.
Yes.
I will tell you, as a, now,
Come on, Jesse.
I don't know. Hold on.
as your prior mayor and as a parent whose son is now a grandfather from this school district, I'm always proud when I get to come here and hear what's going on in the district. It's just pretty phenomenal, what's going on here. Yes, so tonight I'm here as chairman of the board of Cass Community Health Foundation. I volunteer and, somehow got lucky enough to, I guess, stay on there long enough that I became chair. But anyway, I want to tell you what we do, who we serve, and kind of where we're at. So what we do as Cass Community Health Foundation is we provide the safety net dental clinics here in Harrisonville and one in Belton. We do the school-based dental screenings, so we have volunteers, hygienists and dentists and volunteers that have no experience in the dental field that come into the schools and screen children. And we do that here in Harrisonville as well. We do it in, I think, all the districts but one in the county. So helping your school health providers do their job. We also have a teledentistry program because what we're realizing, and when I came on the board, we had a clinic in Belton. Shortly thereafter, we opened a clinic here in Harrisonville, and we found out that access to care is paramount in this group of folks and their children, and being able to get the kid to the dentist. We serve only underinsured and uninsured children. So, mom and dad's working, trying to get the children to the dentist and, trying to get them to Kansas City or wherever you can find a provider. Because most dentists do not take Medicaid and certainly don't take no payment, but we do. We move along here. So let me tell you a little of the numbers of what we did last year. So patient visits in our clinics, 7,424 visits. We saw, now some kids come 2 or 3 times, 3,964 kids. We did sealers on 3,424 kids in schools. And then fluoride treatments on 4,795 children last year. I mean, this is big numbers. This is really, I was going to retire from service a number of years ago, and I was asked to serve on this board. And it's one of those where I just couldn't say no. I mean, when you're impacting this kind of people every day with what we do. So when we screen in the schools, we of course refer those kids to our clinics because they're usually the ones that need that care and don't have the resources to go to a regular, I should say regular dentist. We have regular dentists, we accept Medicaid. And so we refer them there, and so our patient recall without decay. So we try to get our kids through the treatment process and get them back and get them seen and get them without decay. So we have a ratio of 62.52% of our kids coming in without decay that had decay in the past. I'm going to give you some stats. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. tonight, but we, I do want to talk about an added program that we have picked up in the last year. So if a child has multiple decayed teeth, they need anesthesia. So in order to get them into those services, they have to go to Truman or Children's Mercy. The waiting list is 18 to 24 months. So what we have done is we have now contracted with an anesthesiologist and a nurse anesthetist. Say that really fast. And we're now doing it in our Belton clinic. So we don't have them there every day, but we have them there multiple times a month. What that has shown us is, A, we can do it, and we can get these children taken care of quickly, and B, our clinic is too small. Because if everybody's been in a dental exam room and you know how small they are, well, add an anesthesiologist, a nurse anesthetist, a hygienist, and a dentist. And, you know, so to be perfectly honest, we have to open the closet door and put a chair in there for the anesthetist right now. So we are building a new clinic in Belton. We have bought the land, we signed the contract a week ago. We should have it open by mid-next summer. You know, you guys understand construction. So we can take care of them right here in Cass County. We also have added in the last few years a mobile dental clinic. So now we can bring our equipment right into the schools. So there are some children whose parents can't get away, don't have the resources to get them to the clinics or whatever, and we are working with the school districts to be able to treat the kids right here in the school if we need to. So I don't want to take any more of your time. I do want to tell you that of the schools, the 2,751 Cass County students we saw in schools, in our clinics, I'm looking here, 512 of them were from Harrisonville School District. So a good portion of them are being right here. Now understand, even though we're Cass Community Health Foundation, so if you have family, friends, anyone, we don't turn anybody away. They can live in Butler, we've had kids come from Clinton, we'll serve a child when they walk in our door. And so we are always looking for volunteers, so if anybody ever wants to volunteer, we do the school screenings, and Joe can tell you we're in and out pretty quick, usually in 3 or 4 hours, but we always need extra volunteers just to take down information and record stuff for us. So on our website there is a place to volunteer, and real quick, I will tell you that of the 516 children we saw in Harrisonville School District, 34% of them had decay. And we did get fluoride on 69%, but 34% of the kids we saw had decay. So that tells you that there's certainly a huge need here in the district, and we appreciate your support, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything you have.
Sounds like a great program. We thank you for doing that and for being a part of it.
Well, it's just, you know, again, how can you say no when you're helping that many children and doing that much good within an area that has no hope? I mean, we had, when we opened our clinic here in Harrisonville, I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories. We opened our clinic here in Harrisonville. We had a young man who was 16 years old in the high school who had never had dental care and had a full mouth of cavities, wouldn't smile, and so his mother worked days or evenings. He was in school during the day, so getting him somewhere or getting access to that care was difficult. So the mother came in during the day and filled out all the paperwork and signed everything. He walked from the high school to our clinic every time we had an appointment until we got all of his teeth fixed. And that was his only hope, and we now have a smiling young man out there because of it. The second story I'll tell you is the best story I've ever come across with dealing with children and with the clinic. Is I volunteer at a few years ago when you had your school enrollment nights. So I would be one of the volunteers that would hand out toothbrushes and floss and things to the kids, and so I'm there, and this couple comes up with their children, and the little girl is looking at all of them, because we do have pretty toothbrushes. And so that's a good thing, right? And so she's picking out her color, and I had said to the young man, I said, son, do you want a toothbrush? You're welcome to have one. And he says, no, thank you, sir. Very polite. And his mother said, you get a toothbrush. Remember yours fell in the toilet 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
So my thoughts are, A, what has he done for a toothbrush for 2 weeks? Or B, is he still using the same one? So anyway, he gets a toothbrush, they move along. So later in the evening, the next family comes up and little boy does the same thing. He doesn't want a toothbrush. And I looked at him and I said, you better take one. You never know when I'll fall in the toilet. And the mom says, isn't it the truth? Thank you all so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We do appreciate all of your support. I can see our principals' heads back there continuing to nod because they know how much you're supporting our students and the need that is here in our community. I would also like to just share that Hannah from the Community Foundation was at our night when we came back, and she truly was a great person to be there and make great connections with our families as well. So
Great.
you would share that. We appreciate it.
Wonderful.
And thank you for everything that you do
Thank
for
you.
our
And
district.
I'm gonna get out of here, but thank you all.
Thank you.
You all know where I'm at.
Thank
Take care.
Okay, item 8B, strategic plan update.
Dr. Parkhurst just has a few little things, just as we get our year started. We wrapped up a few projects and other things that you can see around the district.
Yeah, when we talked last board meeting, we talked about creating facilities that are welcoming and give our students and staff a sense of pride to enter and to leave and to talk about. I hope that you guys feel the same way, but I feel like we've taken a gigantic step towards that this year. Okay, with just the curb appeal of our facilities, we're still coming together with some of our internal situations, but externally we've taken a big step forward. And I think there's some people to attribute to that and that deserve recognition. First, Steve with his maintenance crew, okay, going around trying to stay on top of everything. As you guys know, it's 130 degrees outside, and so we're chasing HVAC units all over the place, but also trying to stay up with our regular maintenance schedules. Sam with the custodial crew, trying to keep everything clean, but also trying to keep new staff trained. I think that that's something that is going to continue to be a priority. And then last but certainly not least, you guys have noticed some landscaping rock, some killing the weeds, some stuff along buildings. That's Mike Johnson and his crew. And so they have come in, brought in rock, dumped the rock, moved the rock. So a lot of thankfulness to a lot of people coming together to make things look nice, because it's not one person, it's not one group, it's a group of everybody. And so the concrete and asphalt is completed. It looks amazing. The paint of the curbs. We still have a couple areas of concrete we want to address, but for the most part, it looks really, really good. And then finally, the only thing I wanted to note is that our AC units are struggling, and they are, and our administrators know it. And the thing that we're super fortunate to have is a group of people leading our kids who are understanding, who continue to lead those kids through adversity, which is, it's your second day of school and it's a little, hot in here. So appreciate their understanding, and I appreciate the staff and everything that they've done. So that's what I have for the update. Any questions?
I'm gonna have a proud former teacher moment. I was at HGS the other day, and Marquise, one of my former students, walked up, super confident to tell Dr. Falky, hey, I think there's a problem with there's a pipe was leaking from HVAC unit. So this is a former teacher, especially with Marquise, who early on didn't think he would say a word, and now the dude is running the day shift at.
Yes, and he is amazing.
So it's so cool that and then also proud of came up confident, and then you said, all right, let's go take care of it right now. So that was pretty cool.
Thank you very much. Good update. Finance update.
July is actually a pretty
slow month for the finance side, so I'll keep it brief. Dr. Chastain wanted me to just give you a final update for June, end of year. The ASBR has been submitted. Overall, our revenues for the fiscal year were at approximately 37 million compared to about 40 million last year, and the difference is just bonding type stuff, so nothing to get too excited about there. On the expenditure side, we're looking at a end of the year at about 40.6 million compared to 50.9 million the year before. Ending projected fund balance, we're at 37% for funds 1 and 2, our operating funds, which is up from 31.5% last year. That's putting us in a pretty good position to feel like we can handle the enrollment drop that Dr. Chastain talked about earlier tonight, that we'll have some reserves to kind of get us going into that 24-25 school year. So that we try to be like around the 25% on that. So we are a little bit high, but I think considering what situation we're looking at going down the road, we need to be where we're at now. The transfer balance from general fund over to special revenue fund to zero that out ended to be about 1.4 million. It was like 1.6 million last year, so a little bit more this year, so that's looking pretty good. And then we ended up with an increase in our overall operating budget of about 1 million for the year. So I'm feeling good about what we can expect to happen in the next year. So when we're just looking at July, the start of this new fiscal year, our revenues were comparable to July of last year. Expenditures are up a little bit. That just could be a timing difference, a little bit increase in salary and benefits, but nothing real drastic there. Ending the fund balance percentage for the end of July was at 35.8%. That'll come down a little bit here now as we start the school year, but once tax money comes in again, starting in November, December, that'll go up. Our cash and investments are at 17.2 million. So that's where we're at the end of July. Off to a good start. That's very good for this time of year.
That is all due thanks to the diligent work of Deb and Mr. Ritchie as they got prepared and then the board's approval of that budget for this year. So we sure do appreciate the diligent work that that went into that. Thank you, Deb.
Item 8D, 23-24 levy rates.
Just a reminder that due to our previous action, the recommended action would be the top recommendation.
Action, yes. I would accept that first recommended action. Motion, please.
I'll move to approve the levy for the 2023-24 fiscal year as follows. Incidental general fund is 3.7007. Teacher special revenue fund is 0.5000. Debt service fund of 1.2765. Capital projects funds as 0.0, for a total tax levy of 5.4772.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8E, 23-24 tuition rate.
I move to approve to set the tuition rate for the 2023-2024 school year at $12,619.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
It's important to note that each year that is set by our ASBR at our expense, per student expense, and then it comes up with that after we finish the work of the ASBR.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8F, Board Policy G275B. And this is, I'm sure you can read it, what it is. We have to do this every year, or I'm sorry, every other year. I would accept the motion.
I move to approve board policy G-275-B as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8G, substitute extra duty election.
I move to approve the 2023-2024 substitute extra duty letter as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8H, 23-24 SRO agreement.
Move to approve the FSR contract for the 2023-24 school year as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just as we looked at that, there were just a few rate increases that were not that much. We are very pleased in the support that we're receiving from the city, so it's very helpful for us. Just an update, when we talk about the SRO, we do have 2 SROs when we look at that contract during the day. Officer Ramsey will not be with us for at least a couple of months. And knowing that support is needed in our buildings, Chief Hofer is allowed, I don't think he allows, but for this instance, that Officer Michelson will be over at the middle school for us for the time being, and then Officer King will be moving to the high school. So we will be provided the proper support for this. The other part of this is how we will contract and pay for officers outside of their duty time. For instance, for football games and for prom and other areas like that, they will be paid at the city rate for that, out of contract time for that rate. Went up just a little bit, but again, is very reasonable for us to be able to have the support that they provide for us.
Any questions? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, before we adjourn, I just want to address the weather. I know that we've all been concerned about the temperature. I stood out there the other day, as our principals have done every day, and sweat like nobody's business. And that is why I'm not wearing a suit jacket today. I lost a lot of weight yesterday, and I will tell you that our administrators were absolutely amazing with that. But there has been the conversation around that other districts are looking at how they're addressing that heat issue, especially when it comes to transportation. Our administrators have done a great job, albeit students not going out to recess. It's not an ideal thing when you're really looking forward to that. So as a building administrator, I remember it is not a fun thing to do, but we have to make sure that our kids are safe. Dr. Parkhurst is working with our activities director to make sure that our students are safe, that are practicing, and that we are very lucky to have buses that have air conditioning on them. There are a couple of districts that I'm aware of. Sedalia does not have that on their bus, and they were starting on Thursday, and they are going to start next Monday. And then Warrensburg is going to do a couple of early outs tomorrow and Thursday. So as you hear that out there, that others are taking precautions with the heat, note that we are taking those precautions as well. And again, are very lucky to have air conditioning on our buses. We had a few that had some air conditioning issues, but again, Wanda took care of that very quickly, and we are very thankful for that, so we can continue to move forward with our school.
I think it's very fortuitous that we replaced a bunch of HVAC units. Or no telling what we'd be doing. Oh my goodness, yeah, well, that's good to know that we're watching out for our kids. If there's nothing further, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Garfield and